Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor. We're back here. Leeds have made a bid for Yoel Perot. Wanted to update you guys. Apparently, a fee from 8 to 10 million quid is about to be lodged. Yeah, exciting stuff. I think overall, how do we look at this? Obviously, Cameron Archer's in the mix, apparently, which is going to be a lot more expensive, 100%. And the reason why this is interesting is Perot earlier on this summer was allegedly going to sign a new contract. It was going to be him and Jerry Yates up front. Obviously, Swans have acquired him from Blackpool. An interesting one, a real interesting one. Yoel Perot, I think he's got like 19 goals in 43 games. Listen, it's someone who 100% would fit the Daniel Farke system, someone who's very versatile, someone who's got an eye for goal as well, which is something Leeds need, a bit of an assassin when it comes to the offensive line. This one will not. I mean, it's timelines, isn't it? I don't think this one's going to get done before Ipswich because it's too quick. This deal, I think, is going to rumble on to the back end of the window. Am I enthusiastic about this? I think the Max Aarons one, as you guys know, I was so buzzing about. I was so excited about. I thought, oh my God, this has turned around so quick. And football can turn around so quick. You know, you get deals done so actively and quickly, don't you? I think this one's going to be fascinating because Leeds are very willing to put the money down, evidently, which shows that we do have the money as well, and we've balanced it against FFP, which is massively beneficial. Of course, when you're talking about 8 to 10 million, which for me is definitely going to rise 100%. To probably around about 15. It's showing that Leeds have the money. And we knew that anyway. Max Aarons, 12 million quid. That's what it was. Weird like Bournemouth got him for 7 million, but 12 million quid for Leeds it was. Maybe that was including add-ons, but the initial fee, it looked like Norwich wanted that outright, but there we go. Yoel Perot's a different proposition. I think Swansea would be willing to sell and are going to sell him. I don't think he's going to be a Swansea player by the end of this window. Ultimately, because when you're a championship side and someone comes through with 15 million quid tops, there is no way you can reduce that unless you have absolutely zero replacements there. And dependent on Swansea's formation, you can definitely utilise the replacements that they have there. And then obviously they're going to want the money quickly because they're then going to want to replace someone like Yoel Perot with a striker. We've seen it this window already when Yukores left Coventry for Sporting Lisbon for 20 million quid. You then had them go out and get Ellis Sims from Everton. So for 8 million quid, a real good utilisation of that money. They're probably going to use the Gus Hamer money as well. But apparently with the Yokores money, they use that for Hadji Wright as well, who looks to be a good signing for Coventry as well. By the by, that means that Swansea are going to want the money earlier on, as Coventry did with Yokores, to go out there and invest in their general squad. So yeah, I think that there's two ways of looking at this. If it's a bidding war, it's going to go to the back end of the window. If it's a quick deal that Swansea want doing, you know, they've almost like done the Willy Gnonto thing that we have with Everton, where it's like, well, he's not going. Now, the reason clubs say he's not going is because they want to ramp the fee up, especially when you're looking at a bidding war. So if that is the case and Leeds are willing to put the money down and just pay the money, I think this deal could get done very quickly. Lyle Thomas has reported it, Sky Sports. Wales Online, obviously part of the company that I work for as well, have reported it. Tom Coleman. I wasn't convinced on it when everybody was reporting like Alan Nixon here, Alan Nixon there, because Nixon can get a few things wrong. But this is interesting. Now Sky Sports have officially reported on it. Now, we knew yesterday that Leeds are apparently interested in Paintsil at Genk, the 8.5 million valued striker. Now, the reason that was interesting is because you've got top clubs looking at him as well, top clubs in the Premier League. They were apparently willing to get his services. But the thing is, everybody, all these players, Cameron Archer, Yoel Perot, players of this calibre are going to have clubs, I should say, after them. This, for me, is going to be a bidding war. This, for me, will now drag out. Leeds have, or essentially are, putting the gauntlet down. Right, 8 to 10 million quid, bang. Now, the reason I'm slightly unnerved about this is because now it's in the ether. It's in the public space. For everybody who's going on and saying, oh, Leeds do stuff behind closed doors, we all knew this was coming. We all knew Yoel Perot was someone who Leeds was targeting, so it's not that in-house, is it? That narrative needs to leave pretty quickly, I think. But yeah, I think overall, like when Aarons was being signed or was supposedly being signed, other clubs are alerted to it. And the reason why this happens is because agents are almost just touting their player out. Look, what about Leeds have just bid for my client Joel Perreault? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Now, what do we know about the other clubs in and around who can rival this signature? Leicester, Kelechi Iheanacho, looks like they're going to be selling him at some point towards the back end of the window. Patson Daka looks like he's going to be going at some point towards the back end of the window. Then you're looking at Leicester and you're thinking already they do need a striker because they've got Jamie Vardy there, and they've not got a dynamite striker there who's going to win them games. Now the thing is, from Leicester's perspective, is a lot of these games that they've been playing, and Southampton are in that mix as well, they've been scoring late goals, and they've not been, I think a lot of these games that possession-based sides like Southampton, like Leicester, like Leeds are playing in, you want to win these games early. You want to ruthlessly put away these sides. And how do you do that? Well, you do that with a striker who scored 19 goals in 43 games. So my point is, expect bids now from Southampton, expect bids now from Leicester. Now, who are the biggest club in this division? Who's the biggest club? Leeds United by a country mile. We know that. Stature, grandeur, it is Leeds. The problem is now it's going to be the other clubs coming in with similar bids, which obviously we saw with Aarons. As soon as it went into the public sphere that Leeds were after him, bids then started coming. And bids then did start coming, by the way, because it had been under wraps up until that point. Then bids did start coming, and it was so annoying how on the day it then turned, didn't it? It then turned and multiple clubs were in. But yeah, overall, everybody, I think this will be a really good deal for Leeds United. We've mentioned this before. He's an assassin. He's someone who's proven it in this division multiple times. I mentioned earlier on about how my perfect profile would be someone like Ross Stewart. I love Archer. Archer's just like a little Carlos Tevez with rapid pace. And in the Championship, I think that'd be unbelievable. But it would not surprise me if he was to go to a Premier League side at this moment in time. I think he's mentioned that as well, that he wants his development to be in the Premier League. So from this stage onwards. So I think the realistic option, they've probably explored Archer, and now the realistic option is someone at a sort of mid-table, lower ebb of the Championship, where they're going to finish in Swansea. Can we sort of bully boy tactic them into selling us Joel Perreault? And as I've mentioned several times, this is now going to become a battle between the three who've been relegated. What can Leeds offer? As I've said, grandeur, stature of the club, a guarantee from the 49ers that other players are coming in. Other players have to be coming in to sell it to someone like Joel Perreault, because he's probably going to be moving to Leeds on a 4 or 5 year deal if he does come. You have to sell to him not only a wage packet, not only a vision, but you also need to say to him, look, X, Y, and Z are coming in, because he's going to look at the current state of the squad and go, nah, I'm going to Leicester or I'm going to Southampton. This is on the premise that they come in with bids. I've mentioned Iheanacho's probably going to be leaving Leicester. I've mentioned Patson Daka's going to be leaving Leicester, so they're going to need a striker. You also look on the other side with Southampton, possession-based system, like Leeds, like Leicester. Joel Perreault is going to see all of those three clubs and think I can fit into all of those. Southampton look to be losing Shea Adams to Everton for 12 million. We know, to Everton for 12 million. We know now that Southampton have got a kitty of about 200 plus million from transfer outgoings. So you look at their wage structure, it's going to be much more healthy than Leeds United's. Maybe the transfer dealings as well, obviously with FFP now, with the amount of players that they've sold, is going to be a lot healthier than Leeds' as well. Leicester, up for debate. We don't really know what's going on there. They've taken bank loans out, which have to be repaid in 3 or 4 years' time. So we don't know what their financial situation is thoroughly yet. But Southampton look to be in a very, very attractive position. As I've said, very important to note that all the managers play a possession-based system, because that's what they're going to sell to Joel Perreault. But at this moment in time, I think Leeds are at a disadvantage in comparison to those clubs. This is all on the premise that they come in, which I think they will. Because Leeds haven't started the season well. Leeds' squad is threadbare, and at this moment in time, Southampton and Leicester are in the top 3, which naturally, when you're at Joel Perreault and you're thinking about Premier League football, that is going to be a massive, massive, attraction for him. And that's what I was saying earlier on. I've said this before. People get really offended when it's like, well, why would he pick Leeds over Leicester and Southampton? It's not that we're a smaller club. It's not that we're going to be any worse off than Southampton and Leicester in 3 to 5 years' time. It's what the player's looking at right now. And if all Leeds can offer him is the the grandeur and the fans and all this sort of stuff, I think that's not going to be enough to entice someone like Joel Perreault. I'm not pouring water on it whatsoever. I'm just saying it's going to be interesting how Leeds sell this to him. That Leeds could turn around and say, you're going to be the number 9. You are going to fire us into the Premier League, and we're going to bring in Kamara, Lewis O'Brien. Those deals are done. Yeah, we're going to bring those in, and then we're going to bring in Charlie Taylor and whoever else. And that's going to be the setup, and we're going to get promoted. I think the only issue is with a team like Southampton and Leicester, they've already almost got that set, really. But this is all dependent, you know. Leicester could still lose Dewsbury Hall, which would be huge. They could still lose, as I mentioned, Iheanacho, Daka. There's still lots of players that Leicester can lose in this window. Southampton, you feel that they're going down the younger strain of players, and there's not really there's not really many more players Southampton can lose in terms of value. Shea Adams is probably the last off the conveyor belt, but then they've got a lot to work with when it comes to money and attraction. I do think even now, looking at that top 3, that's why Leeds, for me, needed a bit of a strong start, because towards the back end of the window, players still need to think, okay, well, they're going to be up there. They're going to be up there. But now, at this moment in time, Leeds have got a lot to do. And for me, that's what Joel Perreault's agent will be looking at. That's what, that's what, his Perreault's agent will be looking at. That's what Perreault will be looking at the end of the day. He will want to play in the Premier League. This is his step to the Premier League, within a year or so. And you look at Aarons, I know for a fact, I can tell you this for a fact, that Southampton came in, Bournemouth came in later on, but as soon as Southampton came in, his head was turned. And that is a fact. You believe it or you don't have to believe it. He was at Leeds and Southampton came in. Russell Martin, who he's played with before, came in for him, and that was enough to turn his head. And then obviously the Bournemouth was a full 360. The Bournemouth interest was a full 360 because obviously they play in the Premier League. So I should say 180, 360, who knows? But guys, I'm not pouring water on it whatsoever. I'm just saying maybe just Leeds could go, maybe Paintsil will be the striker. I do think now we'll sign a striker. That's pretty obvious. But maybe Joel Perreault might not be the one. But he may be the one. So let me know what you think anyway in the comment section below. Fascinated to hear what you guys think. And I'll catch you in a bit.